Welcome to another edition of Daily Airline News, focusing on the search for MH370. I'm Jeffrey Thomas, and I'm delighted to say, joined by Blaine Gibson once again. Hi, Blaine, how are you?
I'm fine, Jeffrey. How are you?
Great, all good. Now, before we get into your questions, and guess what? We've got a new important piece of debris for you today. Blaine wants to give a bit of a shout out, and then I want to have a few words as well. Blaine, over to you.
Yes, I want to give special thanks for good wishes and support from Sweet Magnolia, Wave Rider 777, Icarus 370, Aegeon 370, Megas Alexandros, Go Fox Go, K-Man of Kent, Signal Electrician, Craig Novi 2090, Michelle Lane, Foundation 6867, Kendra Salauder, Jeremy Higginson, Boeing 747 pilot. And if I leave anyone out, I thank you. Sorry. And if any of you have any questions, any viewers that I don't answer here, you're welcome to contact me on Facebook under my full name, Blaine Allen Gibson, or you can send a message to Jeffrey and he can forward to my email or WhatsApp. And also a special thanks to Jane Messman, 95, who said, St. Anthony, please help find MH370. Well, it just so happens that the main founder and one of the main funders of Ocean Infinity is named Anthony. So that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Over to you, Jeffrey, and thank all viewers for your support.
Yes, and look, just a note of explanation to the viewers. The last episode we did with Blaine, I needed to do a very tiny edit of a certain section, but the editing process in YouTube is pretty crude, and my keyboard skills are even cruder, and I chopped out too much. It's a very technical and touchy situation. I do apologise and for the disruption to that particular episode. It's all my fault, and so please forgive me for that. Particularly giving a shout out to Sweet Magnolia on that. Very sorry, and hopefully I won't muck it up again. So Blaine, let's get on. And you mentioned Icarus. First question comes from Icarus 370. Blaine and Jeffrey, when will we hear about the mystery 20th key piece of debris? Well, I think you'll hear about it very soon. And Long Tabisco, I count over 100 discs of those possible debris. I apologise if I've misunderstood the map. Perhaps you can answer those two in one hit, Blaine.
Yes, Icarus, thank you for your question. I am getting and having analyzed and identified what will be the 60th piece of 370 debris, and I'm pretty sure that it will be the number 20 on the key debris list. I just want to be sure, because this is a significant piece, to have it correctly identified by a professional and investigated in order to tell something about what it means. So that should be in a week or two, as soon as it's ready. But it is an important piece. And to Long Tabisco, you're speaking of the map, that is the UWA map. Those white dots are particles. That's a forward particle drift simulation showing where debris is likely to wash ashore. So those white dots are the particles, and wherever they're concentrated is debris will wash ashore. Those are not actually pieces of debris that were found. But you'll notice that wherever the UWA predicted the large concentrations of white dots, in South Africa, in Mozambique, in Madagascar, Mauritius, La Réunion, you'll notice that debris was found there. So that's a good explanation of the map and a very good question. Thank you.
Now, FRA 7781, Blaine, asks, is it possible to find such small pieces of light material floating even after 10 years spinning around in the Indian Ocean?
Yes, it is. It is a strong hexagonal composite. It can float around for years. It's possible to find it there. Now you could find it anywhere from the southeast coast of Africa, perhaps even along the southwest coast of Africa, or even back over to the southern coast of Australia as it floats around. But it's very dispersed. It doesn't concentrate in a single area in the Indian Ocean. There isn't a garbage patch there. Uh, but more likely, it's buried in sand. A storm washes it out, it washes back in, or some locals pick it up and save it for some reason. And a lot of the debris that we are getting recently are ones that people simply picked up, saved, didn't know what it was, and held on to, and we're showing them and collecting it. So, yes, it is possible.
So, Blaine, from Kim3663, thank you for answering my question about the size of the O. Unfortunately, I have no access to official Boeing or Malaysian documents that could help identify the pieces of debris. Maybe somebody else has. That's the broken O piece.
Well, I don't have them. I did have the broken O piece physically examined by professional engineers, and they determined that it was of aviation origin, consistent with materials used on a Boeing 777. And However, since they don't have access to all of that information, they couldn't tell exactly where it was. So I then handed it to the families who handed it in to the Malaysian officials to investigate, and they did that on the 10-year anniversary. And we've heard nothing yet. But it is of aviation origin. Some people incorrectly claim that it was from a yacht. It's not, it's aviation. And it would be good if they can identify where it is from. It will tell us a lot. But of course, the underwater search and recovering the main debris field will tell us much, much more. That's just one piece.
Hmm. Now, on the search, Richard Polsino 361 says, when will Ocean Infinity resume? Have they announced a date yet? And Mark Vesley, Blaine, God bless from Mark in Australia. Have you any inside information to any movements of the Armada vessels? You want to answer that, Blaine?
Well, if I have any inside information, it would be confidential and I couldn't talk about it here. However, Ocean Infinity has made no public statements as to when the search will resume or exactly where, just the general area. They're being quiet, and I think they are correct to be quiet because the rivalry and toxicity in the social media and 370 community is so great. I respect their desire to remain quiet. My understanding is that the search will resume in the austral summer. Now, summer in the southern hemisphere begins with the winter solstice, December 21. So my understanding is it'll resume sometime late December this year, early next year. And I wish them the very best of luck.
Mm. In fact, we have been tracking Armada 8605. I think it's a new Armada ship which moved from Vietnam down to Singapore. It's currently in Singapore, but it may be going to the Philippines for a short time to do some searching work for them. And as Blaine suggests, it could be back on station mid-December, late December. And as Blaine said, Ocean Infinity are keeping mum on this whole thing, and that's their usual way of doing things. They're a very, very private company, and they don't particularly like the media attention. So, and we respect that. There's no issue there. But they do try and keep the relatives informed, don't they, Blaine?
Yes, they do. In fact, the last public statements that they have made, they
Mm,
made through the relatives, which I
mm.
think is very decent and very respectful.
Absolutely. And, they're an outstanding company, and we're very lucky that they are doing this on a no find, no fee basis. There's not too many companies that would do that. So we certainly have to respect that and respect that their need for privacy. So,
Yes.
talking of searching for it, let's get on to recoverable. Darren Larman asks the question: once the final resting site of MH370 is found, given the length of time underwater, could data still be recoverable from the black boxes, provided they are found, of course? Thank you from Scotland. And Orbs66 asks, would the black box and voice recorder survive the crash and being in salt water for such a long time? Mama Duck asks basically the same question. Now, I think I might start off with this one before you get into it, Blaine. The All the information we have is that yes, the FDR and the CVR will be readable. The CVR is on a 2 hour time loop, therefore there may be something on it, there may be not. It just depends. And so the word is yes, it will be readable if it is still intact, and we're hoping it is. You got any thoughts on that, Blaine?
Yes, I agree. The flight data recorder is the holy grail. That is what will give us most of the answers that we and the families seek. And it is recoverable. Both the box and the data are probably recoverable.
Hmm.
The deepest recovery of a black box ever was of the Helderberg at 4,900 meters deep off the coast of Mauritius. And that was almost 40 years ago. So the technology now is better. Ocean Infinity's AUVs can go down to 6,000 meters, and most of the likely crash sites are around 3,000, 4,000 to 5,000 meters. So, yes, they can recover it. It's probably sitting relatively peacefully on the seafloor, but even if it went down a crack or a trench, they should be able to recover it. They just need to send the AUVs down there really close, and they have to ROVs to recover, and they can do it. Now the question is, will the data still be recoverable? Well, if the seal was not broken at the time of the crash, then yes, some or most of the data will be recoverable even after 12 years. That's what I hear. So I am optimistic about that we'll be able to get some important information from the black box. The fact that it's in cold water, dark, salt, under pressure, that's not a problem. Those actually the tranquility of the subsea environment on the seafloor helps in the preservation. So that's not the problem. I think they can recover the box, and I think they can recover some or all or most of the data.
Mm. Now, Angela Kyle wants to know, asks the question, when the plane is found, which I think and hope it will be, with the black boxes, will the black boxes go to Malaysia and will the truth come out? Well, that's a good question, Blaine.
Well, the answer is yes, they go to Malaysia because it's Malaysia's plane and they're the ones in charge of the investigation. There are some people in Malaysia, professional engineers, and some officials, I have met them, who are very dedicated to finding the plane in the truth. There are some segments there that don't. However, the engineers and the professionals dealing with it and Minister Loke do want the truth of what happened. And also, the world will be watching. Malaysia will require assistance in deciphering the black box and in analyzing the wreckage. So they will seek assistance from Australia, ATSB, NTSB, Boeing, uh, and of course, France has a criminal investigation ongoing. So they will offer assistance and be interested in the results.
Mm,
So I think that the truth will come out. And
mm.
the question is, will we get all the answers or just some? That's up to what we find and what happened.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Blaine. Just to recap for viewers, this is an American aeroplane powered by Rolls-Royce engines. And as Blaine mentioned, there's a French criminal investigation. So the French BEA will be involved. The United Kingdom AAIB will be involved. The American NTSB will be involved. Rolls-Royce is involved. These are all the participants, and of course the NTSB of the United States. These are all the participants under ICAO regulations. So they will all be involved. They will all have access to the data. And of course, the Australians have been involved because it's in Australian search waters, and they've been heavily involved from the outset. So, and also there are Australians on board that aeroplane as well. So
Yes.
I think the other thing too, finding this will be an extraordinary event, and it'll be a wonderful event that we find it finally. The international scrutiny of it will be unprecedented. So I don't think there'll be any circumstances where we don't find out exactly what happened, as long as, of course, the flight data recorder and the CVR can be read. And of course, they'll also learn a lot from the wreckage. So I think there's 100% chance that we'll actually get to the bottom of this, and I certainly hope so. Now, Blaine, there's been a lot of misinformation, which we've covered many times, I know. And Cats 1275 says, I'm so shocked that Blaine was attacked by trolls. From what I can tell, he's doing everything he can to solve the mystery of MH370. And I agree with you absolutely, Cats. I work for a major US airline, and I'm hoping we all know what happened before I leave this earth. Keep up the fight for MH370 until it's found. I think we all agree with that one. Perhaps you might like to comment, Blaine.
Well, yes, I can only say that at first, when I got involved in Malaysia 370 investigation, I did not know what a troll was. And I thought that it was all these discussion groups were just like people who sit around in the coffee house in the morning and have friendly political discussions. I had
Mm,
no idea of how heavy the disinformation effort was and
mm,
how extreme the hatred and toxicity would
mm,
be. So I learned that early on, especially as soon as I found debris. I thought that people would say, "Oh, it's good he found some debris. This gives us some clues. I'll adjust my theory a little bit to fit the new evidence." I thought that's what they would do, but they didn't. They personally attacked me. They personally tried to discredit all the people who helped me. They attacked the debris. They were evidence deniers, and some of them don't want the plane found at all. They're covering something up. And some of them just have their own little pet theories and agendas that they're trying to push and sell books, and they don't want anyone to interfere with that.
mm,
So I am not surprised now at the level of attacks, especially since I'm coming up with some more debris that threatens some people's interests and theories. And I expect that it'll only become worse as we near the search. That's
Mm.
the sad reality of social media and disinformation today.
And on conspiracy theories and whatnot, Stu WNZ, so I suppose it's Stu W in New Zealand. That's a guess. Great to see Blaine and looking forward to the search season and how it pans out. Also looking forward to the conspiracy theories too, as they are always a good for a laugh after a tough day at work. So that's a different perspective, Blaine.
Yes, and that's, Stu, thank you. That's a very healthy perspective because sometimes rather than cry, it's better to just laugh.
Mm,
And I think that when the plane is found, some of those will go away, but there are still people who believe that the earth is flat and the sun revolves around it. There are still people who believe that the lunar landing was faked. And I think that they will continue to insist that the plane was landed in Kazakhstan or shot down in the South China Sea or crashed in the jungle somewhere or in Diego Garcia. I think they'll just continue, but they will look even more ridiculous as they do so. And what I think will happen is that most of the public, the reasonable public, will simply say, no, we've got the answers and that's it. And we need to accept them.
yeah. Now, still on those, Blaine, Robert Matson, Sierra 3 uniform. Thanks, gents. Really appreciate the updates and your efforts. It'll be interesting to see what nonsense conspiracy theories arise if and when the wreckage is found, and how many of those or these will say the wreckage was planted. Hopefully, such theories would be debunked very quickly with the facts. Yeah, as Blaine's alluded to, I think there's going to be all sorts of backtracking and creative on the run explanations from some of
Well, it,
those.
it will be interesting to see what they come up with. If they will accuse me of planting the entire airplane down there, or we might see some of the people who claim that the plane crashed or was shot down on the planet. They might start to line up together with the alien abduction people because it would be much easier to beam the wreckage down from an alien spaceship than
Yeah.
to move it from another ocean or land and hide it. So
Mm,
it will be really amusing to see how far a lot of these people are willing to go in
yeah.
order to explain away the actual discovery of the main crash site.
Yeah. Now, on that crash site and that wreckage, CBVT4IIC says, what are the searchers going to find if the plane broke into a million pieces on impact? Now, I know we've answered this a few times before, but it keeps coming up over and over again, Blaine. Do you want to start off and then I'll round off your thoughts?
Well, it's probably not a million pieces on impact, but it's hundreds of thousands. And what they'll find are lots of small shattered pieces in a relatively concentrated debris field resting on the seafloor or in some trench uh, that sunk down pretty much straight from the crash site.
Mm,
And they'll find some big pieces that Jeffrey can describe, like the wing box, the larger pieces. But that's what they found in the debris field of Egypt Air 84, and they're perfectly capable of finding the small pieces or any stray pieces that lead to it. They'll know they're close.
mm. In fact, what we're showing you now, viewers, is some of the pieces that were found from Air France 447. Now, that also impacted the water with tremendous force. Now, we do know, for instance, that some parts broke off and there was a debris field floating on the surface. Now, just for those who don't know, aeroplanes are built of incredibly strong materials like titanium and steel and aluminium. Aluminium's not as strong, obviously, but also it's built with a lot of aerodynamic fairings and lightweight materials, composite materials that are built in non-stressed or non-structural areas, and they're the things that float. And you've also got wing flaps, and you've also got flaperons, which are sealed, and they float because they've got air in them. So there's a combination of things that make up an aeroplane, and all react differently to a high-speed impact. So on the floor of the ocean, you'll have the engines, or the core of the engines. You'll have the undercarriage, which is what we're showing you now from the Air France 447. You'll have some significant structures of the fuselage itself, like the wing box and parts of the fuselage, because with Air France 447, they found the fuselage. They actually found passengers strapped into their seats still after 3 years when they found it. So that's an indication of the sort of thing. But as Blaine's has said many, many times, this was a fairly high speed impact. And we know that from all the small pieces of debris that have turned up in Africa. We know that it did shatter, but there will still be some substantial pieces on the ocean floor. Would that be your reading of it, Blaine, broadly?
Yes, I think exactly that's correct. There will be a lot of small shattered pieces that will tell us a lot. There
Mm.
have been some questions about whether there will be any human remains. It's possible. We don't know. I know that would mean a lot uh, to relatives if there are. Maybe some personal effects can be recovered. Maybe not. We'll see when we get there and find it. I hope that enough debris from the crash can be recovered that it will give us the answers of what happened.
In fact, what I'm showing you now, viewers, is the crash of a Asiana Boeing 777 in San Francisco. Now, I'm just showing you some stills. This aeroplane hit the seawall at one of the runways. It catapulted and bounced a couple of times and landed in upright, as you can see from these images we're showing you. Now, this aircraft is one of the newer ones that has the seats stressed to 16 Gs of force to the seat rails. That's an incredibly strong part of the airplane. And so it's highly likely that the seats are still intact. It's highly likely that the life vests that a lot of viewers have said, why aren't there life vests floating on the surface? Because the life vests are underneath the seats. And if the seats remained intact, held to the seat rails, because they can withstand a force of 16 Gs, then it's highly likely that that part is going to be intact. Although, of course, as we know from what Blaine has found, paneling from the sidewalls has come away, and Blaine has found paneling from the interior of the aeroplane. He's also found parts of the seats as well. So this the seat monitor. So it'll be a mixture of things, but it's highly
Yeah.
likely that a lot of those seats will still be intact on the bottom. Now, Blaine, let's move on, and we're talking debris. This piece 59, the interior cabin from Rieki Cove. Can you give us a bit of on that?
Yes, last time I showed you two pieces of interior cabin debris that brought the total 370 debris recovered to 58 and 24 from the interior cabin. So now this is number 59. It is an interior cabin piece that is quite remarkable and more significant than most of the other honeycomb pieces I've shown you, because this not only has the honeycomb, it has the typical Malaysia Airlines white veneer on it.
Mm.
And it also has a line on it, and it has the start of a little bit of what looks like a circle that might have been used for a hook or something to hold something onto the wall. So that makes me think it may come from the galley or a bathroom. I don't know, but it is a significant piece. It is number 59. It was found in Riake Beach, date uncertain. however, recovered there from a local fisherman, didn't know what it was when he found it. And it is an important piece because it may be identifiable as to where it's from, and it brings the total of shattered interior cabin pieces to 25.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, look, an incredibly important piece, and it just adds up to people say there's no debris. Well, we've got 59, and shortly you'll show us number 60, and that's without any official search, basically, and that's all stuff that's been picked up on lonely beaches all over the place, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. By all but one picked up by private citizens
Mm,
who were either looking for it, like I and my team were,
yeah,
or more than 20 private citizens in 6 different countries who were just walking on the beach. And only one piece of debris was recovered during an official search. That was a Coast Guard officer in Mauritius on foot patrol who found one piece.
yeah,
All the other 59 are
mm,
from private citizens.
yeah, indeed. So, viewers, that's all we've got time for today, and we will be getting Blaine back, won't we, Blaine? We're going to get you back again.
Yes, I'll be back with to answer questions and
Yeah.
also to present debris piece number 60 uh, together with analysis, which I believe will justify making it the 20th piece of key debris. And
Yeah.
I'm just taking my time to be sure to have all that information together before I present it.
And of course, Blaine is going to be part of our coverage of the renewal of the search. That's going to be incredibly exciting. And the expectation is very high that we're going to find it, or more to the point, Ocean Infinity is going to find it and wonderfully bring closure to those poor relatives and friends who have basically been tormented now for what, 12 years? It'll be 12 years when
Almost
they,
12 years.
and that's been the most gut wrenching um, experience. I've met, of course, Blaine's met many of them. I've met some of them here in Perth, and I think you remember Blaine when they were describing in the boardroom at Seven West Media their experiences and their heartbreak. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. The cameraman was crying. The interviewer was crying. It was a very, very heart wrenching emotional discussion with these relatives and the torment they've gone through from the 150 books written about the disappearance of MH370. I mean, it's just been ghastly, and so many silly, stupid conspiracy theories that anybody would know are ludicrous in the extreme. But for people who are not in the aviation industry, they don't know any better. And they think, well, maybe it is here, or maybe it is in the Cambodian jungle. I mean, it's been tragic. It's been a torment, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. And even though many of the family members have become my friends and they have told me how they feel, I cannot possibly understand how they feel. I cannot
Yeah.
put myself in their shoes. I
No.
can only say that they want the truth, whatever it is. They
Yeah.
don't have any particular theory or
Yeah.
agenda other than finding the truth, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
they usually don't ask me what I think happened
No.
because uh, they want the truth and the proof.
Yep.
And they thank me for finding pieces of the plane,
Hmm.
but I haven't done enough. All I've done are found some small pieces of the puzzle
Yep.
that hopefully will help lead to the main wreckage. And we need to find the main wreckage to give the families and flying public and all of us the answers that we deserve.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Blaine, look, thank you very much indeed for joining us today and bringing that new piece of debris to our collection, or the collection. And thank you for answering these questions. Viewers, please subscribe to us. Please like us. Please keep those wonderful comments coming and those great questions for Blaine and for Richard Godfrey coming through. And please do subscribe to us, because coming up, this is going to be the channel to get absolutely up-to-date information on MH370 for the search for this aircraft. And we'll be doing daily coverage, in maybe twice or even three times daily, depending on what's happening. We'll be the people that will bring you that information. So please subscribe, and we look forward to your company again very soon. Thank you very much. And wherever you are in the world, have a great weekend. And thank you again, Blaine.
Thank you, and thank viewers.